Good evening.
Good
I am
evening.
Ravi. Good evening. I am Ravi Gupta. Welcome you all. I am editor-in-chief of Digital Learning Magazine and founder and CEO of Philips Techno Media Private Limited. And today we are going to have an uh, webinar interaction with Dr. Swati Majumdar. She is Pro Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis Skills and Professional University. Welcome, Dr. Swati, on this webinar. Thanks for joining here. So, before we start, Dr. Swati, it will be a good idea that you give an idea about how this concept of the skill and professional university you thought about. What was the vision behind this, and how it is different from the other traditional universities. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me and giving me an opportunity to share about information about our university. The Symbiosis has been known for conventional education for a long time. But about 10 years back, I got the unique opportunity of chairing a committee for our Maharashtra state government to relook at the state's policy in vocational education and skill development sector. And during our research, we found that majority of the students who have skills do not want to pursue skill-based education because the courses, the skill-based courses are terminal in nature. There's no vertical mobility from a certificate all the way up to a degree or even a doctoral, postdoctoral program. To give an example, if somebody passes out of an ITI, there is nothing else he can do. Yeah, ITI is like a diploma after 10th. So there is nothing else that student can do if he wants to pursue education, skill-based education in that particular trade which he or she may have done at the ITI. The other problem that we also realized was that of social acceptability, because people with skills who do not have degrees but who have skills may be making good money for livelihood but are not well respected in our society. So social acceptance is quite low for people with skills. And we also realized that because of these two reasons, students were not pursuing skill-based education in a big way, and they were going for conventional degrees which was keeping them unemployed, which they would rather do than actually obtain skills and make a good livelihood. So it was a very dark choice that students were making, and we decided that Symbiosis should do something about it, and then we created a unique model for a skills university which will work for our country, for our culture, and also our socio-economic problems and challenges. And we established the first skills university with the name of Symbiosis University of Applied Sciences at Indore. And the second skills university was established at Pune, called Symbiosis Skills and Professional University. Earlier it used to be called Symbiosis University Skills and Open University. Recently, the Maharashtra government renamed it as Symbiosis Skills and Professional University because people thought whether we were giving degrees through distance education, which is not the case. Both universities have been built on a extremely state-of-the-art infrastructure and campus spanning about 25 to 30 acres. Both universities were established in the last 4 to 5 years. And we have both engineering as well as management degree programs in both the universities. So although the degrees sound conventional, the programs are very sector specific. And we offer programs which are in line with the industry needs. So we never come out with a program by ourselves. That is our peculiarity. we first interact with the industry and find out what kind of manpower requirements they're likely to have in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And in line with that requirement and in collaboration with the industry, we come out with these degree programs. So as you saw on the earlier slide, we have, for example, in both the universities, an engineering program in automobile engineering, mechatronics engineering, or cyber security, computer science. So these are specialized programs. We are not offering BTech in mechanical engineering, for example, or BTech in electronics. We are offering a BTech in mechatronics. We are offering a BTech in automobile. The reason being that these are specialized programs where lots of job opportunities are there. Similarly, in BBA, we are not offering BBA in general management or marketing. We are offering a BBA in digital retail and e-commerce, which is, as you know, even with the corona pandemic, it's a huge demand sector. Now we are starting with a BBA in digital media and marketing, as we are all even talking now. So digital marketing and media are becoming very important. Then BSc in data science, BSc in beauty wellness. So these are the only courses of its kind in India. And even a BBA in logistics supply chain or BBA in ports and terminals, an architecture program, BArch of 5 years. So these are again courses which are very, very unique to our country. And surprisingly, we have got an excellent response from students and parents. And both universities, we have got a lot of admissions from students who are opening up to taking specialized programs in these sectors.
Fantastic. If you also talk about something about the industry engagement here.
Yes, so industry engagement starts at the very source of the program. As I said, we don't decide on courses on our own. We find out what kind of requirements is there. Secondly, we have yearly internships integrated in each of our programs. So every year for 2 months, the students do internships at the industry premises. And in the final year, they do 6 months internship at a stretch. So typically, every student would have put in a 1-year work ex by the time they graduate. Now, what happens is because of this model, placements actually become a side effect and not something that you have to chase. Because when a student goes again and again to the industry, it's a win-win situation for both students and the industry. And this also allows students to get exposed to the workplace at an early stage of their academic career, and they understand what are the requirements of the industry, what are the expectations of the industry. And this model has been so well received by the industry that you will be surprised to know that we have 100% placement for internships every year. Although people say the market is down in this sector and that sector, but that is not true for our students. And many of the industries where they have been going, they have given us the feedback that your undergrad students are much better than the MBAs and the postgrad students. So I'm myself very enthused with this encouraging support and feedback received from the industry.
Very nice. And if you talk about that, how this university is positioned differently from the other traditional universities, and how is the teaching learning system here? How do you use IT in this whole process? And the whole pedagogy in this format of the university, how it is different from the traditional university?
So the main difference is that we believe that practice makes a man perfect. So therefore, in every subject, every course of the university, more than 70% of the teaching learning pedagogy is focused on experiential learning or learning by doing. So we make the students practice in our skill centers, in our special laboratories which we have created. Now, what are these special skill centers or learning factories? These are places where we have tried to mimic the workplace environment. We have imported special skill training equipment for all engineering courses, where the students can actually practice on the lab equipment exactly what they would be expected to do in the industry. Not only that, even some technologies of the future they can practice in these labs. For example, our automobile students can practice on hydrogen cell, on electric vehicles as part of their curriculum. You don't need to really visit an industry in the first or second year just to practice or see this, which is an experience very few engineering students have. Our retail students, for example, we have created a simulation lab called a retail mock store in collaboration with Shoppers Stop, where everything from pricing to inventory to sales, even how to manage your accounts, all these things are taught in this mock retail store. So for every course, we have created these learning factories and skill centers. For our beauty wellness program, there is a very international standard beauty training academy that has been created along with Enrich, which is a well-known beauty salon chain in India. And the students practice all the beauty and wellness practices in this simulated environment. So students are really enjoying doing things by hand, and when they are made to repeatedly practice something, then of course these skills automatically get developed as per the industry requirements.
And if I may ask you, that Symbiosis University, the older group, the original Symbiosis University group, because a lot of audience is here, more than 400 people are right now attending this on Zoom, and I think more than 1,000 people are watching it on the Facebook. It would be a good idea if you can also talk about the origin of the Symbiosis group itself, which is a very old group and spread all over the country. So how it started, why it started, and what is the overall reach of this Symbiosis group as a whole?
Yeah, so Symbiosis was started by my father, Dr. S.B. Mazumdar. He was a professor of botany in Ferguson College. And he was greatly moved by the negative experiences of foreign students in the city of Pune who would come to pursue higher education in large numbers, but were not very well treated by Puneites. They had many logistics problems, and this was about 40 years, 50 years back. So his journey really started over there, trying to understand why foreign students were treated differently, what were the problems they were facing. And through this journey, he realized that education is a good medium to bring foreign and Indian students together, so that there is a cultural exchange, we understand their culture, their backgrounds. And in this way, Indian students can also empathize with the circumstances from which foreign students come to our country for higher education. And he decided to set up an organization called Symbiosis, because symbiosis is a botanical term which means living together for mutual benefit. Therefore, this group was established in 1971 out of Pune. Slowly, one institute after the other came up because of Sir's vision. He could sense what the market wanted tomorrow, and in line with those needs of the market, he would establish an institute which was ahead of its time. And largely, the Symbiosis group came to be known in two areas, namely management and law, as many of you may be aware. And today, the Symbiosis group, the conventional university that we have, has more than 40,000 students from 82 different countries who are studying in our university, which is called Symbiosis International University. It is a deemed university, and the Ministry of HRD conferred the deemed to be university status on the Symbiosis Institutes in 2002. Earlier, they were affiliated to Pune University, but after 2002, it became a deemed university. And the deemed university basically has 40 plus institutions under its ambit. Many of you may be knowing about SIBM, SCM, HRD, the Symbiosis Law College, and so on and so forth. And this was the origin of Symbiosis, which was established on the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and with the mission to have a home away from home for foreign students. And today it is known for its excellence in education, not only in India, but abroad as well. And it was with this legacy that we, decided to establish these two skill universities, continuing our vision, our focus on excellence in education, but to now implement a slightly different pedagogy of teaching learning, which is what we are doing in the skill university. So like I mentioned, that although we offer degrees which sound very conventional like BTech or BBA or MBA, but the teaching learning method is quite different than a conventional university. Just one small example I wanted to give you, that in a conventional college, for example, you have theory classes which are called lectures, you have tutorials, you have practicals, but in our skill university, you have one extra component of skills. So in our timetable, you will see theory, lecture, practical, tutorial, as well as skill. So every student also practices what he learned. And that is the way he knows how to apply the concepts that he is learning in the theory, which generally is not specifically taught to students. They are left to learn this when they join the place of work. But we are making a special effort so students understand how to apply whatever you are learning, even a small concept in physics. How does it really apply when you become an automobile engineer? Or if you're learning a mathematics equation, what is the relevance of that when you go to do car designing? Or as management students, I'm sure all of you know what is the concept of inventory management. But how many of us really know how actually it applies in the place of work? Because we may not end up working in the inventory department. But in our university, we are teaching all these concepts as the way they apply when you go to actually start working. And that helps students to understand those concepts much better than just attending the lecture and forgetting about it when you move from one academic year to the next.
Great. In this situation of COVID, how you are seeing that the higher education ecosystem will get affected? Your perspective.
Yeah, it's a very good question you have asked, because there are lots of students and parents who are really anxious about what's going to happen tomorrow. The existing students, of course, are greatly missing campus life. You know how youngsters are; their whole life revolves around their around their friends. The new students, their parents are anxious because they don't know when the entrance tests are going to happen, whether they're going to happen at all or not. What will that delay mean? How will they choose a program, and so on and so forth. So we are doing two things. For existing students, we were one of the first ones to immediately start the online classes. Because we also run a distance learning institute, we have a great legacy of technology in education. And we have these extremely robust and matured technology enabled learning management systems, which until now we were using for our distance learning students. But we realized that we can use the same platforms for our university students. And we did that. And as soon as the university closed down for COVID, we immediately started teaching online. So the entire academic calendar was moved online. And I'm happy to tell you that we are on the dot. The academic calendar has not been interrupted in any way. So there has been no lockdown on learning, as you say. And students and parents were very happy because they were getting so bored at home. So parents were happy that at least they were gainfully engaged for a majority part of the day, attending online lectures. We then started also giving online home-based assignments and online tests to the students, to the existing students. So very well received initiatives from the university. For the new students, we realized that parents are going to be very anxious. What do my son or daughter do? How do they choose a program? So we have moved the entire admission process online. And I'm happy to inform you, it is not just an application form which we have moved online, but the complete end-to-end process, right from a virtual tour of a campus. What would a parent like to do when he comes to the university? So he or she would like to look at the university, the infrastructure. So we put out a virtual tour. Then we decided to have online counseling by our admission officer. Then the second guidance session from the faculty. How do I choose a program? So the faculty is there to guide the student. Then we have allowed the students to even book a slot for a personal interview with the faculty for selection purpose. And this way, all the way up to admissions and even payment of fees, everything as an end-to-end process, as an end-to-end experience is now happening online through our admission simplified for you. This is the hashtag that we have created. And through this, an entire end-to-end process has been established for students and parents to take advantage of. For the new students, especially to take admission to both the universities at that is Symbiosis Skills and Professional University at Pune and the Symbiosis University of Applied Sciences at Indore. The second thing which we are doing just to manage COVID are also certain initiatives that we have started for parents. So we have started a series called Chai with Parents at 4 o'clock, where we address the anxieties and the concerns of parents. Then we have started a webinar series of Chai Pe Charcha with students to handle their concerns, their queries. So these are some of the initiatives that we have taken to handle COVID. Of course, we are also gearing up for the university to reopen. And for that, we are putting the entire campus through sanitization drives. We have prepared detailed SOPs for everybody from our faculty to housekeeping to security staff on wearing masks, on taking the medical history of the students to understand if any of our extended family members have been exposed to the coronavirus. So all these initiatives are being taken to ensure that we can prepare a safe environment. Even in the classrooms, we are trying to space out the bench and the chairs where the students are going to sit. So there is a minimum distance between the students. And also sending the students in batches to the canteen and the mess so as to ensure that there is no crowding. So all these initiatives are being taken. Of course, one of the big ones that we just rolled out is e-internships. So most of our students were going on internships in June, July. So for them, what we did is we tied up with the industry where they were supposed to go, and we created these mini projects and problem statements on which the students are now going to work at home. And every week, one industry mentor and one faculty mentor will be coaching the students and addressing their problems and helping them out with the project throughout the duration of the internship. So we are calling them digital or e-internships, and they will be rolled out in the latter part of May for our students to continue their yearly internships without any interruption.
Great. Dr. Swati, there is a flurry of questions here. We have around 400 attendees here, and there are lots of questions. So I may request you to please open the Q&A button on your screen and
Yes.
respond to some of it, because there's
Yes.
lots of it, so you can respond to the selective ones which are more relevant.
Okay, so is MBA good for students is a question. So I personally feel that a generic MBA may not be very useful now, because in fact we may see loss of jobs. Typically those with skills are people who will not lose a job, because industry for the industry they are indispensable. So I would think that a very sector specific MBA, where you know what kind of occupation you are going to get into after doing the MBA, would be a useful choice. Like the one that we offer in our Indore campus is MBA in financial banking and financial services. Now, as you know that even despite COVID, the banking and financial services sector is in fact going to see a boom. That is the prediction. So these kind of MBA courses will definitely be useful, but the generic MBA may not be that popular. This is just my personal opinion. The second question is about what are the kind of skills that are essential and what is life coping skills. So basically, for every job or every occupation, there are certain skills which are mandatory skills. For example, if there is a job of a receptionist, or there is a job of a manager in a retail store or in an IT company, then there are certain skills across these different occupations which are very, very important and mandatory for you to work effectively in that particular job. So these are called as core technical skills. There are certain other skills which are professional or generic skills, which are also required for you to function well within a team. So life coping skills really are those. For example, if you're working in a company, you may need to work within a team. You need to know how to report to your manager. You need to know how to handle conflict management, how to be a good contributor within a team. So all these skills are life coping skills. So in our university, we teach them along with the regular courses. So everything from leadership to behavioral skills to foreign language skills are also taught at the university along with the technical core skills. So this is in a nutshell of the difference between life coping skills and essential skills. Some of the other some of the other questions which I'm seeing here. So somebody's asked a question about whether hospitality management can be considered a skill-oriented course. Very much. So in every job, there is a skill. So in hospitality management, if you go to, for example, a travel company, you may have somebody who is going to explain to you the various tour packages. So that is that person's skill to be able to comprehend various advantages of that travel package and give them to the client who wants to travel. Or in a hotel, if there is a housekeeping manager, so he also will require certain skills which are going to make him very effective in that sector. So I feel that in every single occupation, there are skills which are required. Of course, some skills are different than from every job to the other, but the fact is that every job requires skills which you need to have to be able to perform effectively and efficiently in that job. So there is an interesting question which I would just like to answer, where somebody is asking about, when you try to move from knowing to doing, are you actually sacrificing teaching and replaced by training? So that is not the case, because for training, you do require a certain knowledge base. Unless you cover the fundamentals of the knowledge or the foundation courses, you cannot start training anybody. So unless you know the ABCD of that subject, you cannot start practicing some advanced skills. So in all the courses in our university, we very much start at the foundation level and then move on to different levels of skills within the program itself. I hope I've been able to answer.
Yes. Actually, lots of questions are there, and I'm also thinking that which one has to be looked at.
Yeah, so there is one question about any plans to start courses on artificial intelligence, etc. So we already have started courses on that. In fact, within the automobile course also we are covering artificial intelligence. Within the mechatronics course also we are covering AI and robotics. In our data science also we are covering certain elements of AI. In the automobile course, there is a entire big component of electric vehicles and the future vehicles, not only e-vehicles, but the future of vehicles, even hybrid engines, for example, and Industry 4.0 are covered in the engineering programs. Like I said, because our programs are designed by the industry, we very much are able to weave in the latest technology requirements within each course.
There is a question by Umesh Sharma. He's saying that I am a qualified dentist, and there being a lot of glut and competition, would like to take up some management course so that I can find opportunity in the pharma hospital industry. I request you to please suggest what courses are offered by Symbiosis. You want to answer this one?
Yes, so one of the courses which our Symbiosis International University offers is an MBA in Healthcare and Hospital Management. I'm sure the person can look it up on the SIU website. This may be a useful course for the concerned student. If you want to enter the pharma industry, at what level do you want to enter is really the question which will help you decide upon a course. If it is a technical branch, then maybe you can choose a specialized course. Pharma marketing is also a very good option. I am also inclined to advocate many engineering, para engineering courses for medicos, even a dentist. Because there is technology used almost in every sector, and medical sector is no different. So in case the student wants to also look at some technology based courses before entirely changing their occupation as a dentist, if the student can look up many online courses also on the net, they will be able to understand what kind of occupations are there in which he or she would like to get into before taking the decision of what course you want to pursue.
Any other question you are seeing which is?
Online tests, there is one question which I have not touch based upon. So we have developed a very unique software which allows every student to take a proctored exam without cheating, because every student receives a separate question paper, and the question paper is randomly generated. So I would not, if I'm a student and I'm taking a test, I would not know what are the questions being shown to my peer student in the same class. So this kind of a software allows us to take online tests for our students. And these questions are all based on applications levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. So even if you kept the book open, it would not be of much use. They're like an open book test, because the type of questions that our faculty frame are completely based on application of knowledge. So we have a lot of those kind of online tests that we are doing for our students, so as to help them understand where to improve.
There is a question around how to do admission in lockdown and how to conduct examination.
Sorry, I didn't.
The question is on how to do admissions in lockdown and how to conduct examination.
Yeah, so as I said, that we have launched an entire end-to-end process, right from taking a virtual tour all the way up to taking admission and even paying the fees. So they can visit the website of Symbiosis Skills and Professional University if they are interested in pursuing the course at Pune. So it is sspu.ac.in. And if they want to pursue it at Indore, then it is called Symbiosis University of Applied Sciences. So suas.ac.in, suas.ac.in. And they will see that this entire platform is available for taking a virtual tour, to interacting with the faculty online, to even booking an appointment for a personal interview with the faculty, and undergoing the entire selection process completely online. So we will give provisional admission, of course, till the UGC or AICP announce about the entrance test. We can certainly give provisional admission for engineering students. For management students, it will be completely based on their 12 standard marks and the personal interview grade that they obtain. So these two formats is what we have implemented for securing your admission online.
Any other question which you find interesting, Swati?
There is one question which is interesting, where the person is asking, please acknowledge as what is the negativity of web learning and e-learning platform. So one of the negativities that I see is that in online learning, the student has to be quite self-motivated to participate in the online experience. And this is actually also true if you're sitting in a classroom. Let's consider that if you're a student and sitting in a Symbiosis classroom, and if you simply do not pay attention to what the faculty is trying to teach you or train you or show you, then you will be at a disadvantage. In the case of online, this problem could get hidden, because although you see the student and you can interact with the student like what we are doing now, it may be difficult for the faculty to keep his attention engaged, his or her attention engaged for a long period of time. In a physical classroom, what happens is, if you see that somebody is not in their mood, they seem sad or angry or disturbed, then the faculty can always take them aside after the class and counsel them. So online learning is what we are doing in Symbiosis is certainly not to replace the physical on-campus experience. But what we truly believe here is that during this corona situation, there has become so much anxiety and concern around learning itself. And more so the youngsters who are getting so bored sitting at home because they really miss the campus life. We feel that by teaching them online and giving them online lectures, at least we can keep them gainfully engaged for some part of the day. And this way, the learning will at least not stop or not get interrupted because of this pandemic situation. But of course, when the government allows us to reopen the universities, like I mentioned before, we are all looking forward to welcoming the students back on the campus.
Right. Any other questions which looks interesting to you, Dr. Swati?
So I've talked about e-internships. There are some questions around that. So I would just like to repeat that in e-internships, what happens is say if you're in a fashion or garmenting or textile industry, then if you can work with the industry on coming out with problem statements on which the students could work at home, then the industry person and the faculty can guide the students in completing that assignment, albeit being at home. Now, fortunately, if the corona situation comes to an end, then the remaining part of the internship can always be pursued actually on the industry campus. So the e-internship are not meant to do away with the physical internships. But this is better than not doing an internship at all, is how we are looking at it. And looking at the response that we have got from the industry, we are really happy that they have come forward to help our students to complete these projects by staying at home and interacting with them on a weekly basis. There's another question which one of the participants is asking is what method should be preferred to inculcate higher academic skills among the students. So I personally feel that students really get bored with rote learning, and our role is really of a facilitator now. When we were younger and undergoing education, the only way for us, people of our generation, to get information was from our teacher. But that is not true anymore. Now with the advent of internet and mobile penetration so much in India, if you just type one word, you see hundreds of documents that will come to you on Google. So the role of a teacher really is of a facilitator to teach the student of what is useful and what is not useful, the information that they obtain, I mean. And the second is how to convert information into knowledge and knowledge into wisdom. So this is really the role of a teacher now. And in performing this role, I think it's very important for teachers or teacher facilitators to actually inform the students how they can apply whatever they are learning. For example, if I type a word and I get long documents about that topic, then it is the job of the teacher to then train the student that whatever are the concepts in that topic, how do they apply to the place of work, or how do they apply in real life. These are some of the things the roles which the teacher is required to play now. And unless we integrate skills in education, you are going to see many more unemployed people in our country. In fact, I myself, whenever I conduct interviews, I'm sorry to say, but there are so many engineering students who are jobless, and they even come for like an admission counselor job after doing their MTech, which is so sad. Because when you go up to an MTech level, you're supposed to know what is the particular special area that you are passionate about and that you want to work. But somehow students are misguided and they simply don't know. They just choose a topic in which they will do their MTech and their PhD, and they don't know whether there are any jobs in that area. Without knowing about the job market, about the industry expectations, they are simply undergoing education. And that leads to a situation of joblessness. And thousands of such people are educated but unemployed. So, I think this kind of a tragedy is what we are trying to address through the skill-based education in our universities.
So, one last question, if you can take up, because we are running short of time now.
So one question from a student is how exactly are the session on skills different from the practical? So I'll just give you an example of something which we all know of rather than from our university. When we all learn car driving, when we go to a car driving school, the person over there will tell us that this is the accelerator, this is the brake, and this is the wheel of the car. So this is practical. It's a demonstration. But then slowly you start knowing how to put the gear in first gear, second gear, third gear. You may start driving short distances, and slowly you become so good at driving that you can even drive the car on the highway. So that is when you can say that I'm a skilled driver. Now I can drive the car anywhere in the city and even outside. So this is the difference between a practical and a skill. Now in our university, for example, if you are in a physics lab, you may be actually shown how Ohm's law is performed by the practical. The lab assistant will show you a demonstration. But after that, by the time you go in the second or the third year and you are studying power electronics and some part of that Ohm's law is applicable in power electronics, then the faculty will be able to actually help you learn how Ohm's law is practiced in automobile engineering, in power electronics, in designing a car, and so on. And this skill can be practiced over and over again to become efficient and proficient in that skill. Just like a driver, you know, you keep driving in, or you like a swimmer, you keep practicing it and you become a good swimmer. So essentially the difference between a practical and a skill is, a practical is demonstrated by a teacher, and a skill is something that you have to independently keep practicing, of course under the guidance of a teacher who will tell you where you went wrong. But then you have to keep practicing it over and over again to really become efficient in that skill.
So, Dr. Swati, you answered lots of questions, and many of the questions are similar. So, I think we can leave that, and I think the contact details have been given here. And
Yes.
so, all those who are interested in knowing more can look at these websites and find more about the admission opportunities and other opportunities at Joe University, right? So,
Thank you for having me, and I do hope that we are able to, through our webinars of Chai with Parents and Chai Pe Charcha, I hope that we are able to address some of the anxieties and concerns of the students, generally in the field of education. So thank you once again for having me.
kudos to you, Dr. Swati, for conceptualizing this skill university concept and taking it to such a good level so that so many students are benefiting from it, and also the industry is benefiting from the students who are skilled and who are able to deliver at the right time straight away, instead of training them again in the industry itself. And thank you all the audience. You have a great audience, lots of chats, lots of questions, and all those who are people on the Facebook, if you have liked this video, and if you have if you think that many other students can learn about the skill university opportunity and benefit from it, please share it and like this video on the Facebook, so that some other students are helped by this nice presentation by Dr. Swati Majumdar, who is the Pro Vice Chancellor of the Symbiosis Skill University. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Yeah, namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you.